Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Now, Patricia and Ken are trying to decide how much they need to make sure that Ray gets caught with to take him down. Now, you understand all the different laws and stuff like that. If you get caught with too much, the Fed's going to come in. If you get caught with too small, you're not going to be gone long enough to make any difference, right? But look, I've seen people get 8 years for just an ounce. So they decide, okay, they got 20 keys coming in, right? And Kenny's going to have to continue to make the moves going down like they need to, right? Kenny knows that he's going to drop 2 of them keys off to a couple of his partners. That's going to be the time that they move in, right? And it has to look like it's just circumstances, not set up, okay? So they call the police chief and they tell the police chief to meet them in the spot. They don't want to talk on the phone. And she meets her girlfriend, you know what I'm saying, out of uniform. And she explains to her what's going on and where they're going to be and all this and that. And she makes sure that she's going to have a patrol car in that area looking for certain things, right? Because she has an anonymous tip. And she just wonders what's going to be, you know what I'm saying, the result of this tip, right? And nobody's really asking questions because this is the police chief. Plus, the patrolman that she sends out on the detail, she's sleeping with him. Right, so he's not going to say anything to get her in trouble. This is going to put a notch in his belt, and this is going to help her as well. And then she's going to make $100,000 when it's all said and done. So the move goes down. Ray comes home. She makes sure she wines and dines him and tells him, look, hurry back. You know what I'm saying? I got plans for the night. He tells her, I'll be back. I got things to do, right? I got things to do. But he notices something was off in her move. She's too needed tonight. She wants him to believe that she misses him and wants to spend time with him. So he immediately, when he gets into the car, he pulls the laptop up and he watches her behavior. And he sees her fidgeting around, nervous and all that. You know how people get nervous when they got something on their mind? You know what I mean? And they wondering this and wondering that. He's seeing her move around like that, you know? But she does not dare pick up the phone because she knows that he's watching. She does not dare do anything that she can control it that will bring attention to what's about to happen to him. She's just nervous and wondering if it's going to come off like it needs to. He's not thinking that this is a bust because his stuff has been smooth for years. He's thinking she's trying to plot to see Kenny. And he starts to get angry thinking that, oh, they think they tricked me. So just that little bit of an emotional intrigue for him is taking him a little bit off his game. His instincts are focused in the wrong direction, y'all. So he goes by, he makes the move, gets everything set up, and then him and his driver, they go by his friends. These are old head friends that he's had for years that he's never forgotten. You know what I'm saying? And he always drops them a little something off, you know, just because, right? And when he was over there dropping it off, patrol cars just happen to be in the area. And they always are in the area, but they never really stop them. They never say anything because there's never been a need to do that. But tonight, they stop him. And they ask him, can they search the car? And he says, well, if want you can. So his driver steps out of the car. He gets out of the car. And the police walk around. And then they said, why are you over here? And he told them, I grew up in this area and so on and so forth. And they were looking at him like, what's your name? They took his ID, registration, all this and that. They ran his name. He's in the system, not as being somebody arrested, but always under suspicion as a known drug dealer. So they said, we're going to call in the dogs. They called in the dogs. So Ray keeps pushing and saying, why did you stop me? If I violated a traffic issue, write me a ticket. He's trying to get them to write him a ticket so he can go his way. But they don't write him a ticket. They said, we have reasonable suspicion that you're trafficking drugs. He said, where's the reasonable suspicion? You looked in my car, you don't see anything in plain view. You don't have a dog here, you can't smell anything. So the officer tells him, we got a tip. You got a tip, Ray says. So where's your warrant attached to that tip? So about that time, the dogs pull up and they immediately jump out of the car and they run him around the car and they bark. They got him. They said, there's our tip right there. When they popped the trunk, they found the 2 keys up under the wheel, the spare tire. They put him in handcuffs and they take him down. Ray had never been arrested before, y'all. Never been arrested before. He's the sharpest dressed man in the holding tank. Silk, gaiters, head to toe manicured, all of that. He tries to make a call to the bondsman. He can't catch him. They're blocking him at every turn. They need to get him upstairs. They get him upstairs. They want him to see what it's like so they can put the pressure on him. They get him up there. They separate him from his driver. They make him think that the driver may have said something. He don't know what's going on. The bondsman gets down there. Him and Patricia, because the call was made, they pick him up. She's panicking. What happened? What's going on? He sits in the car on the way home driving. He's thinking somebody did this. He thinks of her, but he says it couldn't have been her. She knows nothing. Couldn't have been. He thinks of Kenny, but Kenny didn't know that he was going in that area tonight. He knows he always drops out, but he didn't know he was going tonight. He changed up his plans. So now he's trying to figure who would have done this if not Kenny. So when he gets to the house, he calls and tells Kenny to come over. Kenny comes over and said, what's going on, boss? I heard. He said, somebody set me up. He said, who would have set you up? Who would have known? And he said, you're the only one that knew. He said, but where were you at? And he told him, he said, I had no idea. You normally don't go over there. Why did you go over there tonight? And Ray looked at him and said, you're right. I just got caught slipping. He said, I beat it in court. They had no right to stop me anyway. So Kenny leaves. Patricia and Ray go upstairs, and it's a sleepless night. Ray's never been in any trouble like this. And his 2 keys, he's looking at a lot of time. The next morning he gets up and he talks to his lawyer, and his lawyer says it's not looking good, but we can try to fight this on a unreasonable search and seizure. They had no reason to stop you, and if they did stop you for a traffic violation, they should have written you a ticket. He said, we got to get some more information about why they stopped you. So Patricia, she lets the assistant chief, her friend, know what's going on between Ray's lawyer and him. So they create a situation where they have an anonymous tip. They don't know who the voice is. It's a male voice, but they don't know who it is. Saying there was somebody that over driving in the area that wasn't supposed to be over, and they were thinking that they were over to drop off some drugs. But guess what? The anonymous tip was the patrol officer, the one that's sleeping with the assistant chief. Made this call, set it all up. Because that's his gal. They're going to be rich after this. So they try to get it tossed out in court. The judge is not buying it. He doesn't toss it out. So now it's time to go to trial. They set the trial date. Ray's trying to buckle. He can't see himself going to jail after all the millions of dollars that he's made. He's got things going on all over the world. Money moving around all over the world. And now he's facing time in prison because he was trying to drop something off to his 2 friends. Now all the people that he's associated with, they're trying to ask him what we're going to do, who's taking over. And he tells them, I got a plan. Don't worry about it. So the night before the trial, he calls Kenny into his room, into his study, and he tells Kenny, look, if this don't go right, I need you to take over for me. Everything is going to be intact. Everything still runs the way it was. You just communicate with me and I'll communicate with you, and I'll let you know what to do. And this thing goes good and you get rich and I'll stay rich. Are you in? Kenny looked at him and he tells him, he said, man, can't nobody do it like you, man. I'm not going to be able to do all of that, but I'll do whatever you need me to do. You my brother. Ray looked at him and said, I knew you would. That night he laid down in the bed and he got to thinking about what it was going to be like if this thing don't go right. And he made love one last time to Patricia. And if you want to know how this thing continues to unravel, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, right? It's getting better, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.
I'm getting so tired.